All right, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahavah's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect tonight's message. Aman. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi, ¿cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi, ça va? Ni hao, namaste, osayani kituya, Ohio. I see you, Manut, Wagwan, Kamsa, Kamsamida, Aloha, Ciao, Ensemble, Privet, Habarigani, Akwaba, Madaasi, Etisen. Jambo, Mimini Kofi, Nina Farah, Kukutana de Wewe, Layal Tav, Barakala Chim Yahavah, and I headed to Servants of Christ, Mashalam Chi. Shalom, peace, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for joining us. We are starting earlier in this month because of our classes that we're going to be doing. We're moving everything up a little bit in the evening. So for those that are coming to the project management meeting, as a reminder, we'll have a project management meeting at 8:15 p.m. New York time. Following that, at 9 p.m. New York time, we will have our classes for those that are going to be doing SOC University. The first one will actually be open to all, but if you're willing to come through for the $20 just for this month to be able to check it out, if you're part of SOC University, then you'll be able to check it out. All of the ones that are going on Monday evenings, Thursday evenings, Friday evenings, Saturday evenings. We'll be starting off with Black History tonight. So you're more than welcome to join us for that. Thank you once again for joining us, and we appreciate you so very much. We once again give all honor and praise to the Most High. Yahavah. We give praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that is able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and attending once again. So hopefully all is well. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you're able to rise to your feet in reverence of Yahavah's word, or however you're able to reverence the word of Yah, we thank you for doing so in advance. And hopefully this evening will be Barak, will be something that lifts your soul and your spirit, and helps you flesh to be in subjection. Amen. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to get started. And hopefully we'll see you guys throughout the rest of the night for different things going on. All praises to the Most High. Aman again. Alrighty. If you could rise to your feet in reverence of Yahavah's word once again and put your right hand in the air, just get ready to repeat after me. And welcome everybody. How you doing, Sister Dawn? How you doing, Brother Keith? How you doing, Sister Tia? Sister Judith? Big Brother Thomas? Is it Tyrannosaurus Rex? All right. Sister Monique? Sister Judith? If I miss anybody, charge to my head, not to my heart. Thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you. Let's go ahead and get started. This is my Bible. This is my sword, and this will I trust for Yahavah as Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard, for this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahavah, Aman. Which in Yahavah Shem, his name is authority, let it be done unto us. You may be seated to go back to what you're doing in the presence of the Most High, Yahavah Elohim. All right, how you doing, Sister Shirley? How you doing, Sister Deborah? So we're going to start our hashtag Real Talk session tonight, or we're going to speak tonight. Once again, we're going to be finished hopefully around 8 p.m. New York time, so we'll go about a half an hour. Remember, for the month of Friday, we'll be on about half an hour early. I will not see you guys tomorrow for the live session, but we will do a watch party based upon what we talked about with Muhammad and the different things going on with that, so you'll be able to get more reference points. So we'll do that around noon tomorrow. So those who are interested, if you'd like to join the SOC International WhatsApp group, if you're able to, I believe at 11 a.m., 7 p.m. Pakistan time, at 11 a.m. New York time, we'll be doing we'll be preaching a word overseas, so to speak, to the assembly that's growing over there. If you come over, by the way, just recognize they're learning, they're growing. So you might hear Jesus, this, that, whatever, and that's okay. We're still teaching, we're still learning, we're still growing, and they're fervent and hungry for the word. So we're gonna give them what we can to keep them going. Amen. All righty, how you doing, Sister Joy? So let's go ahead and get started. All praises to the Most High Yah. Thank you, everybody, for being on today. How you doing, Sister Beck? All righty. So tonight we're going to talk about release these babies. What? Yeah, release these babies. This is what I mean, right? The Ephesians chapter 6 even tells us, as after it says, children, obey your parents. It reminds us that the first commandment, which is actually the fifth commandment, but the first commandment that's mentioned in Exodus 20 that comes with a promise is, in fact, honor thy father and mother that they might have a long life. Ephesians 6 reminds us of that. That being said, right after Ephesians 6 says that, before we get to our focal scripture in Ephesians 6, where we get our namesake, servants of Christ, from. How you doing, Brother Dwayne? How you doing, Sister Mignon? First, it tells, before it gets there, after it tells the children to obey their parents, it reminds parents to make sure we do not provoke our children to wrath. In other words, if we were to break that down, hey, please, ma'am, please, sir, make sure that these children are not being told to do one thing, but then are seeing another. Please, ma'am, please, sir, do not make it a point to tell these babies that they need to be better, but you are living a life that literally makes them angry, provokes them to wrath, gets them off track, right? And so tonight, once again, we're going to come from the theme, release these babies. Now, as a reminder, we talked about stuff like this before, but it just was a reminder, stuck in my craw. Didn't know exactly what we were going to talk about this evening. And then I was watching something in Holy Spirit, something I never watched. It just came across my feed. And I was like, let me watch this whole thing. To be honest, I was watching some stuff as far as court cases, television court cases, and then it went into some stuff as far as child support cases and stuff, and surprises where men and women ask the other person to do something and and then they mess around. It end up getting revealed how bad they are, and basically they end up having to pay child support, or they end up not getting anything, or they end up basically like showing why the person should have left them in the first place, and different things like that. But the next thing that came up was something on what's the name of that show? The Judge Judy show, right? Some of y'all remember Judge Judy. She's still on. I didn't know she was still on, and but she's still on. And they had an interesting case that came up where there was a young man. I forget his name. And I forget the mother's name, and their name's not really relevant to this discussion. How you doing, Brother Dennis? How you doing, Brother Darius? But there was this young man who was in court because his mother, who had been in jail for 8 years, so she has some issues. Prayerfully, she's getting better, but she hadn't basically raised him. And apparently, at least what she said, now she wasn't the plaintiff, she wasn't the one who came out and you know and had them there. The defendant was the one that brought it. The son was the defendant, but the mother was brought by her son to court, which is always sad. How you doing, Brother Rodney? However, it was due to the fact that his credit score. Uh, I'm sorry. Hold on, everybody. Hold on one second. I got to answer this. I didn't think. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I had to answer. Can everybody see and hear me? Yes, no, maybe so. Can everybody hear me? I'm back. Hopefully, mic check 1 2. Can everybody hear me? 5 4 3 2 1. Great. Hopefully, you guys can hear me as well. All right. So where was I? So there was a young man. He brings his mother to court. He's bringing his mother to court due to the fact that uh, um, she has messed up his credit score. It's frozen now. It's still frozen. Is it frozen? Okay, it's clear over here. Can you hear me? Clear. All right. Well, hopefully it's clear for others. Um, it's probably frozen for a second, but yeah. So he brings it to court. He brings it to court due to the fact that his credit is messed up, and he's got this not just $3,000 and something dollar thing, but apparently it's $9,000 something dollars. You had to scroll and scroll back. Okay. All right. So it's jacked up. Basically, the mom had him. At least her story is. To be fair, let's tell both sides. She said that she had her son, with his knowledge, sign up for a lease with her, and she couldn't get it on her own because she was coming out of prison, and that they were able to sign for this lease together. And she had paid all the rent, except she couldn't afford the last month's rent. She was now living somewhere else. She had a job, but it wasn't enough to be able to pay her son back. It is what it is, but she didn't do anything maliciously. The son was in on it. The problem, though, is that he's 17 years old at the time of all this going on, which means that he can't legally sign a contract, and nobody would have signed a contract with him. You saw that one the other day? Okay. So we already off to a rough spot. Maybe she's telling the truth, but doesn't seem like it. We'll just say that. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. But the son is sitting there going through these things. And now, not only that, but apparently the apartment, when they looked up all the history of what had happened formerly in the former court proceedings regarding the apartment complex, the basically there was not only $3,000, but there was $6,000. Well, $3,000 more dollars, $3,000 or $4,000 worth more of damage, and $2,000 and something in legal fees that had to be paid. All this stuff goes on this young man's credit report, and he's there, and you can see that she has another son. This son is 24. I guess this son now is like 18, 19, but this happened when he was 17. Actually, I guess he's just turned 18, and this happened when he was 17, which means that this was not a legal contract, and that they would have, if they simply checked his stuff, checked his credit, which they would have probably done his apartment complex, he wouldn't have been able to sign up for anything anyway. So basically, somehow, some way, she was able to do everything online, come to find out, and therefore she was able to get past some hurdles and some different things, and was able to just say things through word of mouth, apparently, to be able to get in the first place. But she had damaged everything so much that now, long story short, this man is on the hook for $9,000 plus. And he's trying to figure out how he's going to make it, and how he's going to pay it, and how he's going to have this thing to be taken off of his credit, which is crazy work. So to be, to be fair, Judge Judy, I don't know much about her. She seems to be a decent human being. I don't know, it's television, but all that being said, seems like she actually paid through the court. They paid the $9,000 so that the stuff would be off his stuff. So now, basically the court, in essence, sues the mother, I guess, to get the money back. But it was very sad. It was sad to hear the testimony of the 24-year-old, how basically he was kind of like, yeah, mom does this type thing. She was in there talking about, well, I raised him and I did this and I did that. And you're listening, and it's like, but if you were in jail for 8 years and you just were trying to get an apartment with him when he's 17, then you've been gone at least since he was 9. And they were like, yeah, and by the way, she wasn't always raising us anyways. We were raised by the person. We were raised by our aunt. We were raised by our grandma. We were raised by this. And then he was even going in and out of his brother's house, going in and out of his aunt's house, going in and out of friends' houses and stuff. And so he's just trying to make it. Had gone to college, was getting his stuff together, was working on some things, but he's going through all these different things. And I just thought about it, how that's a very common thing where children are usually messed over by their parents. Not, well, I'm saying usually, a lot of times, too much so, go through things where whether it's credit messed up, or even if we just be honest in life, there's so many things that are stacked against these babies. And we have to recognize as a people, as a diaspora, that, it's time to be curse breakers and not persons who continue the curse to flow from generation to generation. You said, in essence, she follows law yet, ref, in between some listening. Well, she doesn't follow the law. She was, in prison for all those years. But when she came out, she was able to do some of the stuff. But then, and she did actually admit to damaging the apartment. And then when she was cornered, she basically made a point to say, well, everybody gets mad and upset. But it's like, and then she kept saying, oh, my son was there and he damaged the place too. He was like, no, I was never there. I never damaged the place. I didn't live there. I didn't know that this existed. And when they did some digging, he didn't, And we have these things that happen where we're so busy trying to get ourselves together that a lot of times we leave our children behind. How you doing, Sister Snap? We leave our children behind. We leave these babies behind, these babies that need tutelage, that need help, that need for somebody to be there with them, to walk through things in life with them. They end up being in really bad shape, right? And it's our responsibility. It should be our goal. It's our responsibility. We should be accountable when it comes to making sure that these babies are taken care of. Anything we can do to release these babies from the curse should be our opportunity, not to put them in one. And so while I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, for those that might get this recording later on, or maybe somebody new who might be listening, or somebody that might, if the shoe fits weird, if it doesn't take it off, think about releasing these babies. They're already, like, if you look, I want you to comprehend something. Yes, I know our job is to try and shield them from this, shield them from that, but I promise you, if you're feeling pressure They might be growing up and they might be used to pressure, but I'm telling you, they feel it too. They feel it differently. They don't have to go through the same stuff you do prayerfully, right? You said you had some relatives still using your name and stuff. Yeah. So, but we want to release, we want to try to release these babies as much as possible. Give them as much opportunity to get away. Even like I'm so happy and ecstatic even when we meet together for these holy days and the babies get to be with each other and you get to see them just escape and they get to be around fellow believers and they get to see and do things prayerfully that they never had a chance to be an opportunity to do before. Let's make sure that we give a chance to release these babies. I don't really have a long message for tonight, um, you know, but let's make it our goal, part of our goal, not just at SOC, but in life, in our personal life. How you doing, Brother Thomas? And what we do to make sure that as many of these babies as possible, especially the ones we have to raise every day, let's make sure that we give them every opportunity to be released from the matrix, if you will, right? Even with my son today, we just came back from his basketball practice and things of that nature, and we were doing homeschooling stuff on the way. And even on the way, we had just finished reading about Abraham Lincoln. So we finished reading his book. Actually, we got to finish reading the rest of it, but we did a huge chunk of the book. And so I'm asking him questions about what's going on. He's answering pretty well. And he's talking about the Emancipation Proclamation. He remembers Abraham Lincoln was inaugurated in 1861. I mean, he's knocking some stuff out. I'm like, okay, cool. But then I say, you know what? Let me make sure even in this sense he's released. I say, hey, that's the stuff if you were going to school or when you start testing for college, if that be Yahavah's will or whatever, whichever way you're going to go, that's the stuff you got to answer when somebody says, tell me the basics. But here's some stuff I need to release you from. Abraham Lincoln wasn't Abraham Lincoln didn't necessarily like black folk. Abraham Lincoln wasn't necessarily buddy with this person, that person, et cetera, right? Here's some things that he actually said. So I want you to know these things, but I also want you to be released from the thing that says you have to keep up something that causes us to remain in ignorance. I didn't give him the full rundown as if it was Black History class tonight, right? But we had enough of a rundown to where for his, put enough stuff in there where some stuff will stick and he can get it in his age range. Even in that, trying to release him from some of the pressures that we still feel today, where nobody said, hey, it's all right. There's a safe place for you to walk in truth. When you go to school, there's certain things you have to do, even if it's not righteous, because the school's not worried about your righteousness. The school wants you to be trained to become a cog in the wheel. You said, right, because they don't even keep up their own history, right? Constantly changing. So so even in that, let's release these babies from some of this craziness and foolishness, right? They're in a vice. And our responsibility is to make sure that they don't have to be, or as much as possible to get them out of the vice, right? As much as it's possible to get them out of the vice of, hey, all your friends are saying this and it's peer pressure and stuff. Well, if they're giving you peer pressure to do things that aren't righteous, they don't need to be your friends. Release them from that. How you doing, Brother Alton? These are things that had we had somebody allow us to do these things, we would be a little better off. And I'm not saying we had none of this. I'm not saying our parents were not as great as they could be. I don't know what your upbringing was or was not. Sometimes, a lot of times, we'll even focus on the negative things so much that we forget how much positive things our parents did in fact do, right? But it's time to release these babies from foolishness. It's time, in essence, really, to fight a fight that they can't even fight. Right? They can't fight the fight. They can't fight being lied to as soon as they're born. They can't fight, being stuck with needles and stuff as soon as they come out the womb. Right? And if we be honest, because nobody really, maybe but through ignorance or maybe not, because we didn't have the fight, the persons should have been fighting for us and making sure we had a shield up for us. And I'm sorry, how you doing, Herb John? Right? Because we didn't have those things. There's a lot of things that now the little child that was never protected in us is still screaming and looking for things. There's sometimes, when I hear persons even speak to this day, I hear persons and they start talking and everybody be like, oh, here goes so-and-so and here goes so-and-so. Somebody in my family, oh, so-and-so's running off at the mouth and everything. I'm like, no, let's listen to them because that's a child in there. Well, they're immature. They should be an adult. But in order to become an adult, there's a process, right? Like you're born and then you suckle and then you begin to crawl and then you can have some rice in your bottle and then and then you walk and then you can lift your head up at some point in between there and then you can get to a place where maybe you can toddle and then you can run a little bit and then you can start eating some actual food and blah 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 and blah blah blah, right? But there's a process, and if we don't give the same process to different areas in life, it's interesting that we know that these things are a process, but We don't take time out to be like, hey, persons need to mature and need to mature holistically. Right, because the wrong process will lead to wrong results. And ultimately, not just the wrong process. A lot of times there's no process at all, where somebody's trying to process without being given the process. If you get my drift, right? That's right, looking for protection in your child. So a lot of times when I hear somebody and everybody's like, oh man, this and that, sometimes you got to, like, sometimes I even tell persons when I talk to them personally and they've been saying something for a while and they keep saying the same thing. Sometimes I tell them, I say, hey, here's a safe place, right? And they actually like kind of freeze up on me a little bit. And I say, that I get it. Like everywhere you go, everybody you're around, you have to tell them this over and over and over again. But prayerfully here, when you come here, that we're trying to protect that and we want to help you to grow in that. So, give them a chance, just like you would give a child. Hopefully, you would give a child. If your child is hungry, if your child is sick and they have an attitude, okay, the attitude is not because they're just a bad person. There's a process, and they even have to learn how to process emotions. Some persons who just yell, they were never given an opportunity to be able to just state how they feel. Yeah, that's right. We got to break that cycle. Some persons were never given an opportunity to express their feelings. So here it is to where you're an adult, you were never given an opportunity. It was always stay in a child's place, shut up. What an adult says is this, even if it's wrong, they tell you to do this, but they do something different. And now here it is, where this person has grown into somebody who was never allowed to ask a question, was never allowed to be something, sometimes even never allowed to make a wrong decision. See, part of the process is that you should set up an environment to where if they mess up, then they can mess up in a safe space, in a safe place, right? Like if you're doing certain things or whatever, there should be a time to practice it and become a great practitioner and let practice make perfect. As a matter of fact, then get to a place later on where you don't practice how to practice, you practice how you fight, but it takes time. You don't just say, okay, I taught you how to throw punches. Go ahead and go in there in the ring and fight the heavyweight champion of the world. No, you first and foremost, let's make sure you know how to throw this punch. What is a counter, right? Let's put you in some sparring equipment. Even let's strengthen your hands and stuff. Let's put you in sparring equipment. Let's have you get into some stuff where it's light sparring first, where there's no contact first. And then after a while, okay, it's time for you to receive your first punch in a sparring match. And hey, when you receive your first punch and you pause, we don't go, oh, you're a bad person. No, 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 no. If you pause, hey, look, yeah, we need you to recognize. Okay, great. Next time when you get hit, I need you to try to figure out a way. How do we push past that? Or are you afraid? Yeah, you're afraid. Okay, cool. Breathe in, breathe out. Use that being afraid, turn that into something where it's actual fear you need, as far as reverence you need for your opponent, right? But don't get to the point to where you're shocked and you don't move, because next time you might not have the sparring gear on. You might be in front of a bully next time. You might be cornered, and you need to be able to know how to do those things. That's why we teach you how to block. And sometimes blocking, you need to learn that in fighting somebody, you will get hit. I know most persons are going to tell you that all their fights is just they hit somebody one time in the jaw or they did this, but I'm telling you, real fights, right? For those of us who've been in them quite a bit in life, real fights, whether they be in the ring, in an octagon, on a wrestling mat, in real life, a bully at school, right? In your own house, sometimes, whatever it is, in real fights, you get hit. And real fights go to the ground. In real fights, somebody's going to try to make sure that they win at all costs. So if that's the case, we want you to get used to getting hit, but there's even a process. And a lot of these babies have not even been released to a place where they've learned how to process. How do you go through the process and you don't even know how to process? So even if somebody's putting you through something, but you're never learning why or how it connects and things like that, right? Yeah, you're never given an opportunity to even learn how to process that. You're in a mat. Oh man, I got hit. Okay, you need to know, how do you process that? Okay, life's gonna hit me with this. How do you process this? A child goes through death for the first time. How do they process that? They process it different at 2 than they do at 5, than they do at 10, right? Is somebody, somebody's sad. Okay, cool. How do you process that? Somebody's mad, they're angry, they start yelling. Okay, cool. Hey, I know you're not okay. It's all right. It's okay to be upset, but at the same time, right? What do you feel? Let's deal with your feelings. I'm angry. Huh? Okay, cool. You're angry. You're angry about what? I'm angry that my friend did this. Okay. Do you feel like your friend betrayed you? Do you feel like you didn't listen? Are you just mad that your friend won? right? Like we have to take them through a process, release these babies from the same thing that we did, to where it was like, hey, I don't care how you feeling, shut up in this house. What happens in this house stays in this house. A lot of us were raised like that, and we didn't get a chance to process. It's time to release these babies so they don't grow up and be in persons who can become monstrous. And then when they become monstrous, we want to look at them and say, oh, it's so terrible, lock them up, they deserve this, they deserve that. No, it's time for us to allow these babies to go through proper psychological evaluation, especially it should start in the home. The first expert of the child should be the parent. I mean, the first expert is the Most High, Holy Spirit led. But let's be honest, that's your baby for a reason. And if anybody should be able to help them process, it should be you, especially if you didn't get the opportunity to. Now, because you didn't get the opportunity to, maybe you need somebody to go back and protect and help out the little child in you. And that's okay. Let's admit that. And let's start from scratch. And let's say, hey, some of the stuff that we're doing and some of the reactions we have and some of the things that we do that turn other adults away might turn our children away if we're not careful. Let's deal with those things and see what's going on. And let's see if the pain, and if they have pain in their eyes or whatever, if it even is coming from us, let's teach them and help them to grow, because maybe they feel betrayed by us and they shouldn't, but they don't know how to process. Aman. Shalom, how you doing, Dominique? So that's all that I have for tonight. Thank you for being on. I appreciate you. These evening sessions are going to be pretty short for this month as we do our lessons and stuff. So we're going to get ready for SOC University to start at 9 p.m. New York time. In the middle of that, at 8:15 p.m. New York time, in about 15 minutes, we're going to be on Zoom for a quick project management meeting. So those who would like to attend that, we hope that you can join us for that. That'll be at 8 p.m. New York time, and or 8:15 p.m. New York time. But at 9 p.m. New York time, if you want to join us on YouTube, it'll be open to everybody today. So if you'd like to join us on YouTube, or if you'd like to have kind of a different perspective, be able to talk back and forth and stuff on Zoom, you can join us there. And we'll start our classes. Remember, our classes for this month are going to be every Monday evening. They're going to all be at 9 p.m. New York time. Mondays are going to be Black History. Thursdays are going to be Hebrew characters. Friday is going to be sovereignty. And Saturdays is going to be natural medicine. So prayerfully, you guys can join us. If you miss one or whatever, and you've done the donation, or if you're part of SOC University, or if you would like to be able to try and talk about something in between, let us know. Sister Shirley, I've received word or whatever about Passover, whatever. And, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that it works out. So you and the babies, make sure that y'all get ready to come. Amen. And everybody else who you've been told or has gotten back to us, and we said, you go ahead and come on and this and that or whatever, be ready. We pretty much are locked in. So I think I was told pretty much we're full. I was shown the numbers. I think maybe we'd be able to squeeze in 1 or 2 persons, but I'm being honest with you, I don't think we can. And praise Yah, I'm not really in charge. So what they tell me is what I'm gonna go with. So they said, Pastor Kofi, we got it. That's what it is. They said, they be saying you be too nice out here sometimes, to be overextending yourself and blah blah. I said, okay, if y'all gonna lead, then I'm gonna follow. So they told me what's up, right? So if it's 1 person maybe coming here, 2 persons, but for real, it's pretty much a done deal as far as Passover. Now there are Passover locations that besides just Eastern Tennessee, persons meeting up in Florida. We're going to meet up with them, so to make sure whoever's coming down there to meet with them or be able to do that as well. But we're going to be in Eastern Tennessee. We look forward to you. And the persons who are in charge of it, they got something special for the babies already set up too. So I'm excited about that, that they're going to get to do their thing and do some special stuff down there. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Don't forget that we're going to start removing the leaven from our home pretty soon as well. So we're excited. We're thankful. We're grateful. And we'll have project management meeting in a little more than now 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and take my leave for right now. And then we'll see if we don't see the project management meeting. We'll see you at 9 p.m. New York time for class. If you miss class, it'll be recorded. Just let us know. This one's open and available to everybody. And then after that, we're going to keep on getting it to the rest of February. And if you happen to join us in the classes later on, we'll make sure that whatever you missed in the month of February will be given unto thee. SOC University, you already have access to everything. Patreon, we'll be able to work out something in the middle or in between. But tada, thank you. So you should have already gotten a text. If you did, with the link and everything for tonight. If you didn't get a text, you should have gotten an email. Some of you might have received both, and we'll try to send out a reminder right when we get ready to start at 9 p.m. All right. Thank you, everybody. Much love to you. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor for my wife, the Honorable Maya, to these babies. Let's release them from this stuff. And as always, remember that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully, wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Take care. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon. And also, too, no live sessions, but we will do the watch party tomorrow at 12 p.m. We'll do the watch party for what we were talking about today earlier. All right. How you doing, Big Brother Thomas? How's everybody doing? How you doing, Sister Taylor? So I see persons coming on. So just as a reminder, one more again, for this month, because of the SOC University classes, the way we're doing them for this month, as a reminder, everything is moved up a half hour or so. So the live sessions in the evenings, hashtag Real Talk sessions, will be at 7:30 p.m. New York time now. The any meetings that we have that will normally be at 9 p.m. New York time, those will be at 8:15 p.m. New York time, so that we can make sure that we do the classes at 9 p.m. New York time for this month. All right? Okay. All right. Love y'all. Thank you so much. Sorry if there was any confusion, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.